So apparently, and I did virtually no research into this to actually verify it, but apparently medieval tournaments were not tournaments. So instead of fighting each other for glory, gold, and, kind of what we associate with the modern tournament with, I don't know, Magic the Gathering, back then apparently they were like recreations of significant battles.
Well, that's dumb.
Right?
Hi guys, welcome to the video. As you can see, it's to be part 1 of parts 3-ish.
3 for sure, maybe 4 depending on how much we talk, but yeah.
So 5.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try and create a tournament for you guys that you can just kind of place into your world. This first video is gonna talk about reasons for the tournament to exist, why your party might want to get involved in it, what could be the prizes, this is the general setup.
Yeah, the why, the what being the prize, as well as the how the players are gonna actually enter the tournament, how they're gonna get involved, because usually you don't just walk up to the tournament doors or the stadium doors and say, I'm here to compete.
Let me in, please.
Yes, I have no credentials, let me in.
Let me in with this wooden sword and...
Right. So how are the players going to A, prove themselves, or B, convince someone to actually let them in? Generally though, I like tournaments just because they're really great for lower level characters. Once you get to higher levels, it starts to get a bit more convoluted just because they're at such a high power level that the monsters you're bringing in start to become...
unmanageable for a tournament to try and wrangle.
Yeah, it's...
Here's these 3 dragons to face. How did you get them to...
Exactly! Like... Not to mention, these are intelligent creatures. Either these are creatures that are so powerful, how did a town or even a city, manage to corral them into this situation?
That's the tournament itself.
Or there's the moral question of, chances are monsters at this level are sentient beings, and this is bordering on slavery and execution, which I kind of have a bit of an issue with. Just a tiny bit. I'm sure you can come up with good reasons. I'm sure there are a whole slew of good reasons you could, like this is their punishment for a horrible crime. I mean, these are terrible, terrible monsters usually. But it's much better at lower levels where they're about level 3, level 4, they're starting to come into their archetypes, they're starting to actually stand out as adventurers. It's a good way to make their presence known, so they stop becoming local heroes and start becoming more like heroes of the realm, as well as the idea that this can actually introduce them to new plot points. So instead of actually having your introductory plots, now you have a huge overarching plot.
There's so many people that can come into a tournament that you just throw everything into it and then see what your heroes are intrigued by, and then run with it.
It is a nice way to give them a lump sum of gold.
Yep.
Because before this, they're probably helping Steve the farmer, and he's probably paid them like 10 gold, which is a lot.
Steve the farmer's champion.
It's 10 gold is definitely a lot when you're a level 1 character or you're essentially a commoner. But tournaments give you an excuse to hand them, say, 100 or 500 gold at level 3, which is going to be needed. It's a way of introducing them to starting to slowly get magic items, potions, things like that. I like it as an excuse for that.
Tournaments are also good at low levels, just a fun way to do something. Like, there's no real consequence to them. It's just this big event, you have fun with it, you have fights. It's good to kind of help get people into their characters a little bit more. Without having to save a town or fight 3 dragons.
And the DM doesn't have to worry about killing the characters because there are probably clerics on the side who are ready and waiting for that to happen.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. As long as they're not distracted.
Weren't paid off.
Ooh. That's going to be in part 3. Part 3 is going to be our intrigue as well as our aftermath of the tournament. Part 2 is going to be the tournament proper. But let's get into actually the setup, the why of the tournament. Why does it exist? Why do tournaments exist in general? Like, taking a step away from the medieval fantasy D&D scenario or other RPG scenario.
Bragging rights to show off.
Yeah, bragging rights. Trying to figure out who's the best of a certain thing, like with jousting, with melee. Different cities and towns would come together. Nobles would compete to say, I am the best for this year.
Yeah.
Until the next one when I inevitably lose.
Yep.
There's the money aspect. Money is always nice. It's a good motivator, especially for players, especially when they've been doing those low-level missions. Like, you've been getting tangled consecutively, and then suddenly there's this one event which could net you a couple hundred gold. That's always nice. That's a good way to draw players in, I think.
Trying to establish peace through combat?
Yeah, it's... Ish. There could be a celebration. There are a whole slew of different reasons. You were, in our pre-show, essentially, you were talking about kind of more of the history, like how...
Oh yeah, like a town grew up with... town was created, so they had a fair to kind of celebrate the birth of their town.
Yeah.
Then as the town grew, fair became bigger, then became a city, then a tournament was just the next viable option.
Right.
It just kind of grew into it.
Yeah.
There are enough people to spare.
Exactly. They're probably not getting huge amounts of monsters. They might be wrangling goblins or something like that. So that's definitely a lower level thing. Cities, on the other hand, they could definitely have that. Expanding off your mention of a fair, there are harvest festivals, solstices, where you can easily attach a tournament onto, where the prizes are going to be bigger. You're going to get more contestants because it's a city. And you actually...
Just general town morale.
Yeah. You also did make a good point.
I did?
Can
you say that again?
You made a good point in the pre-show as well, where we were talking about this, that there doesn't need to be a reason.
Oh, yeah. Hey, let's fight.
Yeah. Chances are players aren't going to dig too much into why there's a tournament.
They're just going to see the cash prize and be, oh yeah, sweet, let's do this.
Cash prize, or possibly even an artifact item prize, the Boots of Springing, Wand of Magic Missiles. If you're in a setting where magic items are kind of rare, this is kind of going to be something potent for you guys, and would definitely draw players in. It could just be some wizard decided he wanted to give away a magic item and thought, this is how you prove you're worthy.
Which can lead to plot reasons.
Yeah. We can also, I think this segues nicely onto prizes as well.
Yeah.
Which would be, so obviously we discussed money.
Yeah. You've said in the past, plot of land, a building, a house.
Yes.
Tavern.
Probably not a tavern, but yeah, definitely a plot of land, which would probably come with a title of some sort. You are the lord of this plot of land. It's probably going to be barren. Not barren, but there's nothing on there. It's yours to do with what you see fit. You are technically a lord of this land. It is your responsibility. If somebody conquers it, then your lordship's going to be taken away. So if you want to maintain your lordship, you've got to maintain the land. That'll depend on the players. Some players are more interested in being murder hobos.
Yep.
Other players, they like the idea of having a stronghold, a fortification, or just somewhere to call home. They like the long game, almost like the Sims management aspect of it. After that, we discussed magic items as a potential prize.
Yep. Could be, how do I say this? Not recruitment, but you could become the champion, as you said earlier,
an
of
ambassador.
the town. Yes, ambassador.
A representative, the champion of Kirkwall.
Yep.
Which is a Dragon Age 2 reference. I don't think you've played it.
Nope.
Okay. Don't hate me. I like that game.
I have no idea what he's talking about. You don't have to hate me.
So you could become a representative of a town, which, until the next tournament when a new champion gets decided, that comes with certain responsibilities, as well as a certain status, which is nice. Perhaps before you weren't allowed into the Gold Quarter or the Cloud Top District, but now, with the status, you can move freely upon the more rich, the more noble of the city. It opens certain doors as well. There's just the fact that you've had a reputation now will help a lot.
To be like a Price is Right type of thing, where you get a boat and you get a wagon and
I guess
a trip to Jamaica, you know.
All expenses paid trip to Jamaica. Or conversely, you a ship is actually a very fine reward, I think. Mostly because ships
It's
are not going to
legit.
be cheap. Yeah, they're going to be expensive. If you're competing in a port town, you get this spectacular ship that once belonged to a noble who was passed on, and his last will and testament was, it needs to go to someone who is worthy.
Yep.
Let's have a tournament. They're
In
not
his
necessarily...
honor. And now you have a reason why you're having a tournament.
Exactly. Granted, just because they win a tournament doesn't mean they're going to be worthy of a ship, because they might not know how to sail it.
You'll learn that later.
Yes.
You learn as you go.
That's what a crew is for.
You don't need that.
We've come up with a good few reasons, and obviously they can always be adjusted for plots. Hell, you could even have the villain make the tournament as a way of identifying competition and threats to their grand scheme and plans. Invites them over for a dinner. That's the prize. Dinner with a local lord or king, and he poisons the meal. Granted, they're probably going to survive. They're heroes. They've got a better than average constitution, or they might learn whispers about it, but that's a plot for later. It's just a little bit of a tidbit, an idea of how to run with it.
I got things for part 3 then.
We've got our prizes. We've got a good few. Gold, always nice. Artifacts, always nice. Titles of land or of status, always nice. Or ships.
Yep.
Property. Property is also a good motivator too, depending on your players. That's kind of going to be one of those things where you got to
adjust
judge
it as be.
Well, yeah. Each group will vary. You got to just know your audience, so to speak. Like you guys, I don't know, what would motivate you guys into joining a tournament? Because I did run one for you guys recently, and I don't know, for you guys, I assumed you wanted the adventure as well as the money, because at the time you didn't have a lot. And it was you guys had like 1,000 gold to your name between you.
Yeah.
And I gave you this prize. Well, the poster set a prize of 1,500 gold and a treasure map to an armor.
There, I have no idea.
I think she wanted adventure.
Tabitha, money maybe.
Tabitha was definitely money.
Varlo would be fight, but he was not in it for plot reasons.
Yeah.
So Satam was in it for plot reasons.
Yes.
He doesn't want the fame or the money or anything. He's in it because he thinks he needs to be there.
Yeah. I think Emmy was in it for the fame.
Yeah.
Kind of. She liked the revelry, the cheering crowds.
Yep.
She's a bard, so she loves that sort of aspect.
Yeah, but Varlo was definitely, he just wanted to fight.
Okay.
Then he didn't get it.
Yeah. Wasn't expecting that.
We'll tell you sometime.
That was a curveball. Now let's get into the actual...
How do you get in?
Yeah, we've done the what, we've done the why, now it's the how.
You've mentioned before, just a simple buy-in, couple gold.
Yeah, and then
You're
winner
in.
takes the pot.
Yep.
That's a very basic reason. Nobody's going to question it.
What he did to us in the game that we just played, he had a bunch of qualifiers, so you had to collect...
Tokens.
It was tokens. It was 8 tokens.
Yes. Well,
or it was various challenges of various things, just different skill-based things. So one of them was an obstacle course. One of them was a weird force field thing that I have no idea how to describe.
I can go into it.
Please.
But first of all, you guys. So, like I was saying earlier, not anyone can go into a tournament. You don't want average Joe popping in and then suddenly hurting himself. So, the first qualifier to pass, essentially, for signups, was you had to either represent a prominent organization, you had to be of either noble birth or be sponsored by a noble, which many of them were, or there was one where you didn't reach because you guys jumped straight into the noble sponsorship. Yeah. The last one was essentially, okay, you're going to have to prove yourselves by fighting this thing, and he had a stone golem.
What? That's what I needed to do.
Yeah, you guys
had done that instantly.
You guys didn't get there.
Opportunities missed.
Olivia just went straight for, well, I'm a noble, they're representing me. I didn't get to the part where you guys could have fought that. Like, I didn't get a chance to list that as an option. And I'm pretty sure Olivia would have preferred that because she
didn't want to tell anyone?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She was keeping her nobility on the down low. But oh well.
Yeah.
I was prepared, but it wasn't needed. That is just the nature of being a DM. But yes, so I prepared, I think, a total of 8 qualifying events over the span of 2 days. The teams that collected the most tokens would then proceed to the finals.
Which is the actual tournament.
Yeah, they would proceed into the tournament proper, where
Yeah.
they actually fought monsters and then eventually each other. They tested various things. I tried to kind of account for any type of person that would show up. You had your armed melee, your unarmed melee, which is essentially a brawl.
You had
Archery, an obstacle course for the more dexterous people, the nimble ones, which you didn't see it, but some of the mages that were competing, they actually just polymorphed into birds and then flew to the end.
What jerks. Super good, though.
That was on the first day, and you guys went on the second day.
Yeah.
Plus, one of your players could have done that.
Yep.
What else did we have? We had what I called a test of wills, which was essentially competitors had to make a constitution check to resist this field that was pushing them back. We had
the column jumping.
Yes, we had column jumping, so again, kind of focusing on specifically acrobatics instead of a mixture of athletics and acrobatics, which is what the obstacle course was. And we also had the what I called Where's Waldo?
Oh, yeah.
In my notes, yeah. Where over the 2 days, they had to find a person who was hiding amongst the crowd. He stood out, but he was still going to be hiding. They had to find him and catch him, and then he would proceed to give them a token. Throughout all of these events, and I'm pretty sure I missed a few, you only had 2 chances to compete, and if you failed those, you didn't get a token. Oh, and there was also a balancing act one where there were 4 people on platforms on a lake that were kind of wobbly, and you would have to kind of knock each other down using these magic pebbles, which it tested your strength as well as your dexterity in the same combat, essentially. It was interesting, I think. Did you guys enjoy it?
Oh, it was good. We had so much fun. We won all of them.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. But hey.
We're getting into this tournament.
Yes, you guys won by a landslide. The most any other team got was 5 out of 8. And that was only one other team. The rest got 4 out of 8 or 3 out of 8. And then most of them, barely even made it because they really weren't qualified to compete in this tournament. That was how you actually got into the tournament proper for the tournament I ran. Just because I was trying to think of a magic-heavy setting or a high fantasy setting where you're going to have heroes from all over the place. And also, you guys are level 8.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd originally planned this for when you were lower level.
Oops.
Like I was saying before, I like them more at lower level, so I had to kind of up
Barovia happened.
I had to up the ante, essentially. I had to give you more competition and more of a challenge to get in the first place.
So we've done gold, we've done the noble thing. You mentioned a stone golem fight.
Yeah, you actually prove yourself in battle.
Qualifying mini events, mini games.
Yeah, sponsorship.
Yeah.
Or it could be that you just need to have a certain level of reputation.
Yeah.
You could know that a tournament's coming up, but you know you're not well known enough, you don't have enough prestige, essentially. So you can spend some time building up your reputation so that you're well known enough to get into the tournament. That's another way. And it also motivates the players to actually do helpful things for this specific area instead of just moving on. And, it's good for them in the end, actually being heroes, unless you're running an evil campaign, in which case...
Not fun.
Yeah. But there are also many ways to kind of introduce mini missions into getting sponsorship. If they needed to be sponsored by a noble and didn't know anybody, there's an opportunity to provide a little side quest mini mission, or even an introduction to a longer quest, or being indebted to this noble or mysterious
Which is always
figure.
fun.
Yeah.
The villain.
Creating connections is always nice. Something that comes back later. It helps weave the story together. Makes it feel like this is one corporeal world.
That's about it. So
yeah, if you guys have more ways to get into a tournament or more reasons to have a tournament, feel free to post them below, share with your fellow DMs, because that's what we're all about. We're here to help, essentially.
In a future episode, we'll hopefully be able to come up with some more mini missions, mini side quests, just to help prestige in the town, help prestige with, or help gain favor of nobles. Just things that you can do to kind of help bolster yourself, help get yourself a buy-in.
And of course, stay tuned for part 2, where we will be talking about the tournament proper. We'll be focusing on a level 3 party, 4 players, just because that seems like a good area to introduce a tournament to a party, or a party to a tournament. But we'll also throw in a few suggestions for either lower or higher level parties, and you can adjust as necessary. But we'll come up with a structure, because tournaments vary. There are all kinds of different tournaments. And we'll see you there.